This tiny thing is actually a fully functional wireless mouse. The HSK Pro Ace weighs 26 grams and uses the Pixar 3395 sensor. It supports up to 50 Gs of acceleration, 26,000 dpi, 650 IPS, and 1000 Hz polling rate, or 4000 Hz on the 4K version. In short, it's one of the best mouse sensors currently available. As a cherry on top, the 3395 features Pixar's motion sync technology. In theory, this improves accuracy and consistency in exchange for 1 millisecond of latency. This added latency isn't noticeable, so in my eyes, the feature is a nice to have. The software itself is fairly basic, but it has the essentials. You can rebind mouse buttons, adjust your DPI levels, change your polling rate, and set your debounce time. The good news is that you don't need to run the software in the background, and all of the settings save to the mouse. Now that we've gone over the specs, let's take a look at the mouse itself. The HSK Pro Ace is quite small. Even next to the Zonconic M1K, it still looks tiny. I normally use a relaxed claw grip on the Skull Mini, but adapting to a fingertip grip with the HSK Pro Ace was surprisingly easy. There was a bit of muscle fatigue around my thumb muscle for the first few hours, but after that I had no issues daily driving the mouse. My favorite aspect of the HSK Pro Ace's shape is how the front is tapered off. I think the intent of this was to reduce weight, but what I've found is that it helps keep my hand closer to a neutral position. The build quality is quite good, contrary to G-Wolves' reputation on Reddit. The mouse buttons are aligned, nothing feels loose, and all the clicks feel crisp. For something of this size, the HSK Pro Ace is quite sturdy, with the only flexing point that I could find being on the bottom. With normal use and even tossing it around, this mouse will be fine, but I would avoid stuffing it in a backpack without its own box. The one drawback that I do have to mention is the short battery life. From my experience, the battery only lasts around 3 days of heavy use, but can be noticeably extended if you turn off the mouse when you're not using it. On the flip side, it does charge pretty quickly, so the downtime is only a few minutes. Now that we've gone over the mouse, let's take a look at the AimLab data. The HSK Pro Ace did pretty well among the mice in my test suite. Compared to the M1K, which is the most similarly shaped mouse, the HSK Pro Ace definitely felt easier to flick with since there wasn't a cable that I had to tug along. But in tracking, the cable becomes less of an issue since it's constant motion, so the slightly larger profile of the M1K made smooth movements slightly easier. Using fingertip grip did give me a feeling of better control and ability to make small adjustments in my aim. Despite this, my old daily driver, the Skull Mini, ended up performing the best on average, so maybe familiarity is still the king of aiming performance. In a nutshell, the HSK Pro Ace is a fun little mouse. If you don't end up daily driving it, even though you totally could, it's honestly also a great novelty item. There's nothing quite like it, and that by itself is already pretty cool. The only other option used to be the Zonconic M2K, which just recently became unavailable, and Zonconic doesn't have plans on a wireless variant until 2024. In the meantime, the HSK Pro Ace features a great sensor, a truly unique design, and wireless capability, all at the compelling price point of $139 or $179 for the 4K version. What do you think about this mouse? Is it just a cheap gimmick, or has G-Wolves created something truly awesome? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.